Don't pay your dues. In fact, this whole idea of paying your dues is a myth that I'm excited to see professional women get rid of. I'm Ashley. I'm the lead mentor with Mentor Me, and today I'm excited to talk to you about some of the most common myths that are holding high-achieving professional women back in their career. And one of the biggest ones is this idea that you have to pay your dues, that you have to grind, that you have to stay in jobs that you hate 3 years, 5 years, 7 years because you have to pay your dues, or you owe the employer something when you don't. Employment in the United States is often reciprocal, meaning they hired you to do a job, they hired you to take on a task, and at the point that you no longer want to take on that task or do that job, you can resign. Just as when they don't feel like you're doing that job to their satisfaction, they can fire you. It's at will. So this idea that you have to pay your dues or buy in time to earn the affection or the value of an organization is absolutely false. And I want to disavow you of any thought that you owe your employer anything besides what you are required to do based on your job description. Too often, ideas of paying your dues or loyalty hold high-achieving professional women back. And these ideals are often held over from enslavement. They're often held over from a time when women were not paid for any of the labor that they did. And I really want to invite us to think more innovatively and more intentionally about these strongly held beliefs that sometimes we have about career development, and no, it doesn't have to be that way. You do not have to stay in a job with an organization under a supervisor that is no longer serving you. And even if you maybe previously had great relationships with this supervisor, great relationships with this employer, if you've been there for 5 days or 5 years, you do not have to stay in anything that isn't serving you. And today I want to talk about this idea of paying your dues and a couple other myths that I often see are holding professional women back, and what to do to get rid of these ideas so that we can actually move into the truth of our career development. So again, one of the biggest myths that I see is this idea of having to pay your dues. And this one specifically is kind of all about checking boxes, right? And let me know if you can relate. Just throw some hearts up on the screen if you can relate. If you've ever felt a sense of loyalty to your current employer, a sense of loyalty to your current boss, a sense of loyalty to your current team, a sense of loyalty to the community that you're serving, and you're like, oh, I have to pay my dues. I have to do this work for 3 years, for 5 years, for 7 years. I have to grind. I have to be in the low level position before I can grow and develop and rise up out of this, right? Let me know if you've ever felt that way. And if you have, know that that's a very common feeling, right? This idea that you have to pay your dues, or you have to sort of sit in a situation in order to speak up, in order to add value, in order to advance, right? Again, this is a very common phenomenon. And this phenomenon is often what keeps high-achieving professional women stuck. Because they feel like they have to pay their dues, they have to, grind, that they can't advocate for themselves at work. They can't speak up when they see something wrong. They can't speak up when they're being unfairly treated. They can't advance their career if, they've only been in the role for 3 years or 5 years, right? They feel like they have to, there's some type of minimum requirement. And this idea, this notion that you have to pay your dues has you end up, checking boxes, right? Like, well, I've got to do this and I got to do this and I got to do this so I can pay my dues. And what ends up happening is that you start to try to climb an imaginary ladder instead of seeing maybe the rapid advancement that you desire and that you deserve, right? So many of you have already done the work. Maybe you've not done it in this industry, not with this kind of, client or, this type of student or this type of community, but a lot of you are coming into the roles that you desire with lots of skills, with lots of knowledge, with lots of education, having already done really great work. So I want you to know that you don't have to start at the bottom, right? This isn't all about just paying your dues and, starting over in your career. You've done a lot of work to get where you are, and you can leverage that existing work to advance your career. You don't have to wait till some imaginary dues paying is over before you can truly advance. So I really want to invite you to release that notion. You don't have to stay stuck in a role that's no longer serving you. You don't have to stay stuck in a role that you feel like is beneath you. If that's where you are right now, I want to invite you into mentorship. I'm accepting new mentees right now. If you feel like you're constantly stuck in a space where, you feel like you're constantly paying your dues, you're constantly trying to prove yourself, you're constantly trying to, show that you're worthy. I want you to know that, girl, you showing up is worthy enough, right? You don't have to prove your worthiness. You don't have to prove that you can do it. You showing up is worthy enough. And what I want to do is to help you see yourself as worthy and help you position yourself as worthy to employers who will see you as worthy as well. So that sounds like something you're looking for. I'm excited to mentor you and support you. So we talked about this myth of paying your dues, right? And we're working to dispel that. You don't have to stay in something that's no longer serving you. You don't have to stay stuck in a role if it's no longer for you. You can release that and get the help you need to advance your career. Another myth that I want to talk about is this idea of it's all about who you know. And just throw a 1 in the comment section if you've ever heard this idea before, that it's all about who you know, right? And I think that this is something that comes out of like a junior or elementary career development networking perspective, right? It's this idea that, you got to network, you got to be in the mix, you got to have a mentor, you got to know this and you got to know that, and you got to know who and you got to know where, you got to be up on all the articles and the latest news in your field, blah, blah, blah. And let me be clear, there is value in networking. There is value in knowing people and being known. There is value in connection. But too often what I see is people are overemphasizing who they know and not really positioning themselves as experts to be known, right? It's not just about who you know. It's about your ability to tell your story so that people can know you. Let me repeat that. It's not all about who you know. It's about your ability to tell your story so that people can get to know you. And too often, people are relying on nepotism. People are relying on who they know. They're relying on, well, let me do this. Let me talk to this person. Let me network here. Let me do this, right? Like they're relying on this maneuvering, but they don't have any clue on why they want the role, what's in it for them, what value they can add. And they really struggle to tell a compelling story about why them. Right? And so again, I really want to invite you to move away from this notion of it's all about who you know. While nepotism is real, right? Let me be clear. And there are privileges that some people have that others don't. Networking is not everything. Positioning yourself as an expert with demonstrated examples of outcomes is more valuable than nepotism, right? And let me tell you why. Because a lot of y'all are playing the let me get my foot in the door game. Right? And just raise your hand. No shame here. No judgment. But let me know if you've ever played the let me get my foot in the door game. Right? So you're like applying for everything. You're putting yourself out there and you're like, all I need to do is get my foot in the door. I just need to get my foot in the door. Right? Let me know if you've ever said that. Right? If you said that, then you're playing the let me get my foot in the door game and you're relying on your personality and your winning energy to advance your career. And often what happens, you get that foot in the door and the door slams. And now you're hobbling around in a job that it's outsized for you. Right? So let me be clear that it can't just be about getting your foot in the door. It's got to be about your ability to advance your career in a meaningful way. It's got to be about your ability to speak to your expertise in a meaningful way. It's got to be about more than just trying to get your foot in the door. Okay? So let's all commit to that. We're no longer going to be talking about, getting my foot into the door. We're no longer going to we're going to reject the myth that it's all about who you know, and we're really going to lean into positioning who we are and helping other people see why it's valuable to know us, right? So we've worked to dispel already 2 myths tonight. Myth number 1, we've already worked to dispel the idea that you have to pay your dues. We're not leaning into that anymore. We're not paying dues. We're not focused on that. We are laser focused on helping making sure we're getting away from a checklist and positioning our expertise right now. We don't have to wait till we get another degree. We don't have to wait till we get another credential. We're all laser focused on doing what we need to do to advance our career right now. Number 2, we are not just relying on networking to advance our career. We're working on understanding and leveraging how we can tell our story in a meaningful way, right? So networking is valuable, it's important, but it's not all about who you know. Instead, you want to be thinking about who knows me? What story have I told to make myself worthy of being in the room, right? So that's something you want to focus on. And last but not least is that you want to really begin to think about getting away from I need to know everything about everything and getting into I have a specific and unique experience and expertise that I can leverage to advance my career. So again, getting away from I need to know everything, I need to know how to do everything, I need to know everybody, I need to know a little bit about everything, right? This jack of all trades framework, it's not working, sis. It's not working. Not in this economy, not with this level of competition in the labor market. It's about niching. It's about niching. It's about being specific and being the right candidate at the right time, right? And so you might be asking, Ashley, how can I be the right candidate? How can I do that? Recruiters and hiring managers are looking for specific and demonstrated expertise in niche areas, not someone who can do it all, right? So yeah, sure, 10 years ago, they were looking for someone who can do it all. Even maybe 7 years ago, they were looking for somebody who can do it all. But now they're looking for specific and unique expertise to get a specific and unique thing done. Right? And you have specific and unique expertise. Let me tell you, you're not just a Jill of all trades. You're not just a utility player. You have value, specific and unique value. There are things that you do better than anybody else. And maybe you don't know how to articulate that. And that's my job, right? My job is to help you do that. Maybe you don't know how to articulate that value, but you have it. And together we can work together to help you articulate that value in a more meaningful way. So if that sounds like that would be supportive to you, if that sounds like something that you need to, help with, then I invite you into mentorship. I'm accepting new mentees right now. And you can go right to my website at mentor-me.org. That's mentor-me.org. You can schedule a call to talk to you about your career development and to really help you get away from and let go of the myths and lies that are holding you back in your career. These ideas of stop paying your dues and it's all about who you know and you need to know a little bit about everything. All of those are lies. And the truth is that you can leverage your specific and unique expertise to get standout, high paying, high level jobs, right? And it's my job to help you do just that. So if that sounds like what you're looking for, then I invite you into mentorship. I'm so excited to serve you. My mentee secured a higher level role and a higher paying role using strategies in the Mentor Me Accelerator. I invite you to check out some of my other testimonials. So you can go right to my website at mentor-me.org. That's mentor-me.org. So mentor-me.org, and click on success stories when you get there. Click on success stories and you're going to see tens of success stories from my mentees. I am so proud to have helped my mentees earn more than $1.5 million in salary increases, raises, and bonuses. And I'm really excited to share more of their stories with a larger audience. So if, you don't have to take my word for it. I say this all the time, like, you don't have to take my word for it. You can see the women that I serve, you can see their stories, you can see the fields they're in, and you can see the massive $30, $40, $50, $75,000 salary increases that I help them earn through my mentorship program. So if you're a testimonial girly, if you're like, I need to see it, the proof is in the pudding, well, go and jump in the pudding, girl. Go to mentor-me.org, click on success stories, and see the amazing women that I've helped transform their lives through career development. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.